If you enjoy the Totally Unreal Book Club podcast, please help support us and the show by subscribing and leaving us a 5-star rating and review. You might also consider helping out financially at patreon.com/tubcpodcast. That's TUBC podcast. Welcome to the Totally Unreal Book Club podcast, or TUBC for short. This podcast is in association with and comprised of the Voices of Anarchy Improv comedy group, and we are here to discuss our favorite totally unreal books, movies, video games, etc. on a weekly basis. This book club is totally unreal.
I am your host, Caitlin Dawkins, no Willwood today, and at the table today we have, starting to my left, Steve Marriott.
This microphone is just like my regular phone, but smaller.
And Dahi English.
I've got nothing to say to that. Oh my god. Well done.
Thank you.
It's just the three of us today for unknown reasons. I think the other people might be dead. So before we get started with this week's book review, tell me guys, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been alive and healthy, mostly.
Excellent.
Mostly.
Good to hear.
I'm pretty sure I am too. Last I checked. I've been starting a petition to make Pluto a planet again, but other than that,
are you getting
much.
Signatures?
I've gotten a few signatures, yeah.
Nice.
I'm not really trying that hard for it, but it's pretty fun.
That's good. That's good.
Dahi, you look like you don't agree with this.
There are many reasons that I don't agree with this, but I won't get into them because that would be too nerdy.
Thank you. I'm sure our listeners appreciate that.
Very much.
Or there might be some of them that are like, no, get into it. Do it.
People are like, no, don't you dare try to make Pluto a planet again. Unsubscribe. But please don't.
Please don't leave us. All right, well, that's enough blathering.
Yeah, we've got a book to talk about.
Exactly. We got an excellent book to talk about. This week, I am the one that chose the book. Now, this book came out 2 weeks after a very well-known book that has a very similar name and similar author name to it. So it's very undersold and not really well known, unfortunately, for it, but it's a really good book, and I'm glad I was able to show you guys what it is. The book today, of course, is Shades of Grey by R.K. Jakes. Very similar to 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. So nobody heard about this book. But
well, very similar in name only.
Yes, exactly. So when people were talking about this book, people thought they were talking about 50 Shades of Grey. And we're like, yeah, whatever. So unfortunately, this book didn't sell well. But it's paranormal romance. And I thought it was really good. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the romance was with literally just 50 cans of paint was like that. I just thought, like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with that.
Yeah.
The inanimate objects, the fact that it's love with inanimate objects, the fact
ghosts.
that the ghosts,
Yeah.
the polygamy. There's a lot to talk about with that. So
yeah.
Yeah, without getting too far into the spoilers, but like there was right off the bat, like there was that first scene where not scene, but like the chapter where they were talking about the romance between the ghost and the main person while they were painting the room. It was very similar to Ghost in my mind, like the movie with the pottery, but with the paint, and they just kept like doing the different shades all over the place.
It was Marissa, by the way.
Marissa, right.
Yeah. I thought the paint was really interesting. I was definitely not expecting the love to be with the paint and the ghost. I was expecting it to be the ghost and Marissa, but I like books that sort of like keep you guessing and keep things like changing and
Yeah. We don't want to get too much into spoilers outside of the spoiler zone, but
yes.
This is all back of the book stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to read the back of the book for us?
Well, Steve, you've got the book right there. Do you want to read that?
Absolutely. Let's see. Shades of Grey by R.K. Jakes. Oh, R.K., what were you thinking when you wrote this? It just says, "To all my loving fans, I know you were expecting another murder mystery, but this is one of those stories that takes place after the murder, when the mystery of who died and how and why they fell in love with Marissa and her paint. And much more in these several pages that I hope you enjoy. Please enjoy. It's very wordy. I don't know what he was thinking, but
just going on and on.
Yeah, just kind of rambling a little bit. Talking about everything we already knew.
Saying a lot and not very much at the same time.
Very much so, yeah.
Typical author.
Yeah. I'm sure if we read the book again at the end of the or the back of the book at the end of the podcast, there would be more to it that I just kind of skimmed over, but who am I to judge?
Exactly, Steve. Who are you?
I'm alive and well.
It's good. So at least two of us are. That's good. So any more sort of non-spoilery talk we want to have before we get into the spoilers? Because there's a lot to say about this book.
Well,
spoiler-wise.
Yeah, it's mostly spoilers.
I just want to say in general, overall, I think that the way the different themes sort of melded into each other was surprisingly well done. The mystery on top of the romance, on top of the paranormal stuff, it just sort of all flowed in a way that I thought made a lot more sense than you would initially think by just reading the back of the book.
Yeah.
Very true.
I liked what they did with language.
Yeah, specifically, it was written in English.
Yes, well, it was written in English, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But the ghost speaks French, and like what they did there was like with Marissa learning French in order to speak to the ghost was pretty cool.
But he kept writing all the words in French on the wall in paint, which is like how she first got to know him, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they knew each other before he died, from what I understand.
Well, that's spoilers.
No, that's from the other book.
This is the first book in the series.
I know, but remember, it was from the murder mystery of his other series.
Oh, right.
It's kind of loosely connected.
It's like a spin-off.
How many people?
Joey from Friends.
Yeah. But I mean, how many people reading this paranormal romance will have read the mystery series that it follows from?
If I'm being honest, probably none.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just spoiled them. Thanks.
I can't even remember a single one of those titles of those murder mysteries, to be honest. The back of the books, though, those are great.
That's always a good read. Very captivating.
Absolutely.
All right, I think it's about time to put the spoiler warning up. So if you haven't read Shades of Grey by R.K. Jakes, skip to the end and we'll see you next week. Spoiler warning going up here.
Warning. Incoming spoiler. Warning. Incoming spoiler.
All right, so let's dive into those spoilers. Should we just start from the beginning as we usually do?
Yeah,
start of the book?
Yeah, work our way through.
So it starts out with Marissa waking up one morning, excited to go paint her garage gray. Mm-hmm. And she goes into the garage, and there's just a huge scrawl on the wall, in French, of course. She can't read it, but it
just says "J'adore."
Yeah. And
I think at first she didn't really know much about it because it was painted on the garage door. She's like, "Oui,
yeah,
that's a door," but they spelled adore wrong.
I don't know why they put that JA there.
No, she thought it was German. Ja, door.
Ja, door. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so she goes to the adult learning annex and starts learning German because she assumes she has a German ghost. And 6 months later, she's almost fluent in German. And then the ghost appears again and writes "we" on the door. And she goes, "Oh, shit."
But she was like, "It's just a you and an I. There's no we yet." I mean, you can't spell we without a you and an I.
So then she goes back to the adult learning annex and learns French.
But of course, as she's doing that, she was also going through painting the garage, and she painted it all gray. And unfortunately, the ghost could not communicate with her anymore because
she painted over
she'd painted over everything,
Yeah.
and the ghost tried to write more, and it was just in gray.
gray, wet gray on dark on gray. So much gray.
So what the ghost decided to do, and this is where the title comes in, is paint it in a different shade of gray.
Yeah, because she had all the samples from when she was deciding what shade she wanted to use. So it started opening up all those different shades and making messages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cute that she started learning German by accident, which does come in handy later, of course. But let's not get into that just yet.
Well, why not?
It's like
Yeah, I know.
important later, you know.
I do want to start talking about like, one of my favorite characters, which is associated with the German thing, because he's a German paranormal investigator who shows up.
Otto von Blotto.
Otto von Blotto.
Yeah.
He doesn't show up until a bit later in the book, but I just want to put it on the record right now. Absolutely my favorite character in the entire thing.
Absolutely. Very like well-rounded, like really a person, you know,
also overweight.
Yes.
So.
Also round, but I wasn't going to bring that up. Irrelevant, doggy.
I mean, the book brings it up quite a lot.
Yeah. I think RK is a little prejudiced in that sense.
Yeah. We won't talk too much about it, but just to be clear, the book does.
Ad nauseum.
I thought he was a great little comic relief as well. Like every time he came in, he had like clever little quips and
or
stuff.
he'd trip on something.
Yeah, usually cans of paint. So
Yeah.
the entire garage floor was also gray by the end of the book, but different shades of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You walk into the room, and this is my perspective in my mind of how he sounded. Was, what's going on in here? Oh no, I kicked the paint again. And Marissa was just like, oh my God, Otto von Blotto. Like, I'm happy you're here trying to help with the ghost, but God, you're such a klutz. Yeah. He's like, no, Klutz is my uncle. they ran a family ghost hunting business.
Yeah.
And that, speaking of, he's my second favorite character.
Yeah, mine too.
Mine favorite as well.
To any people from Germany listening to this, I apologize for my horrendous accent.
No, it was pretty perfect.
My roommate's from Germany, so she would probably disagree with you.
Well, she's not here, is she? Is
Not
she?
currently, no.
Okay. Want to make sure we had no ghost situations.
Bring an Otto.
So, back to, let's try to get the plot going, from, you know, start to finish kind of thing. So we got to the ghost, who we find out once he's able to write in darker gray on the wall that his name is Jacques, which, of course, I mean, he's French. His name is Jacques.
Which is spoilers for the previous series, of course, where they're trying to figure out who the dead body is.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot quicker if that ghost had just painted it in those books. It would have solved that.
Yeah.
Like the entire 12-book series previous to this would have just been for like not if you'd just done that.
Just one novella and then it would have been over. I feel like maybe, like, have you seen Ghost, the movie from years ago? Patrick Swayze? He has to learn how to manipulate real objects. He has to learn how to do that. So maybe it just took Jacques 12 books to figure that out. Or maybe he's lazy.
That explains the training montage from the ghost's perspective that was in 50
Shades of Grey.
Shades of
Yeah.
Grey.
Yeah,
I keep
see?
making the same mistake. It's fine.
That's why this book didn't sell well. 'Cause people just thought it was, too bad for that.
So yeah, there was that training montage chapter where it's like a flashback, and we learn how he learned to lift weights, like cans of paint.
Yeah. Cans
But
of
he
paint
had to
on
start
a
with the
pole.
lighter shades and then work his way up to the heavier ones.
Yes, because that's how color works, Steve.
I meant to say darker shades, not heavier shades, but you know what I meant.
know exactly what you meant. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, the book calls them heavier shades.
Yeah,
So I
mean,
Yeah.
well, that was for the windows. She was trying to install those heavy shades.
Yeah. She'd had some peeping Toms in the neighborhood and wanted to.
Well, she didn't know it was a ghost at first. She thought one of her neighbors was breaking in and writing in German.
And that brings us to my third favorite character, Peeping Tom.
Oh my god.
Yes.
He's not my third favorite character by any means.
Well, I liked that his name is Peeping Tom, so you automatically assume he's like going to be a dirtbag. But he's actually a really nice guy, and he doesn't peep into people's windows. It's just a misnomer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean he was very respectful the whole time. He knew from the beginning what was going on, even though Marissa tried to hide it from
Jacques?
No,
Otto?
Otto, yes.
Oh yeah,
Otto, yeah.
Tried to hide it from Otto.
Yeah.
Well, he's talking about the love triangle.
Oh,
like
yes,
how
yes, I
Marissa
follow.
was in love with Jacques, but Jacques was in love with
The paint.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm not sure how I missed that, to be honest. I thought Jacques was in love with Marissa.
No.
But that would have been too obvious.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's Marissa's problem. That's
Okay.
why she calls in Otto, because she wants him to relationship counsel her and Jacques. As a paranormal investigator, she thinks that he's the best one for that. Because, I mean, you can't call, Dear Sally, like relationship therapist, because it's a ghost. I mean, she's not going to know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the advice that she was given at first is that the relationship didn't stand a ghost of a chance.
Well, I liked when she brought in the Ouija board before she brought Otto in, but of course Jacques saw it and thought it was a yes G board. And but he was adamant that he wanted to be in love with the paint instead of Marissa, so he refused to play her games and did not the Ouija board did nothing. Yeah, well, literally, yeah. He just sat there staring at it for hours, and
yeah.
Well, this is.
Meanwhile, he was in the back corner, dipping his feet in the paint cans, because that's.
Yeah, I mean,
he's into that.
He's into that.
Yeah.
Sure. And now that we've established his love for the paint, of course, it makes sense that he wrote J'adore in the paint because he was actually expressing his love to the paint.
It was sort of a version of a sex scene.
Exactly.
Right.
As much as a ghost and paint can have sex.
Mm-hmm. But
it was beautiful, I think. Go on.
Well, Peeping Tom was in love with Marissa as well. And that was the whole why he was so invested. He wasn't a Peeping Tom, but of course she thought this at first. That was his nickname around town, which is a really unfortunate nickname for such a nice guy. But so he didn't want her to
because he raises chickens, we find out.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just the small ones, though.
Little babies. They go beep, beep, beep. So it's Peeping Tom. Yeah.
I thought it was because his surname was Peeperton.
Tom Peeperton.
Tom Peeperton.
It may have been a combination.
Maybe that's why he decided to get into chicken raising.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Steve.
No, it's okay. So Tom was just concerned about Marissa's well-being and didn't want her to fall in love with this ghost that was not going to requite her love back. Yeah, that's right.
Requite, yes.
Yeah, it was going to be unrequited.
Mm-hmm.
So he...
You're quite right.
I think, yeah. Yeah. But of course, the paint was never going to requite Jacques either. So eventually something was going to give, be it that that Jacques was going to get frustrated that the paint was never talking anymore and they were just disconnecting and starting to drift apart. Or
he felt the affection was drying up.
Yes. He tried to just brush it off, but ended up just kidding.
He tried to mix things up a bit.
Yeah, just to shake it up.
Yeah. And he decided just to roll with it.
Yeah. You beat me to it, yeah. Anyways.
Enough of the paint puns.
Yeah. Now that we've got this love square, or tetrahedron.
The love square is
rhombus.
established.
Yeah.
And that is
Quadrilateral?
that is when the demon shows up.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought that was really well done. How she, RK is a she, how she wrote it, with the demon, coming out of the paint can. Mm-hmm. So at first, Jacques thinks that it's, like the physical embodiment of the paint and his love. Yeah. And so he gets really excited. Of course, he finds out that it's a greater demon.
A grayer demon.
Greater.
Also gray.
It's gray. Well, because it came out of the paint can, so it's covered in gray paint.
Shade of gray paint.
Yes.
That Marissa actually went out of her way to buy this. This is after she learned that Jacques was never going to love her back, so she decided to take revenge.
Yeah.
And she summoned a gray paint demon.
Gray Elzebub.
Gray Elzebub, yeah. From Evil Paints R Us, which is a very small store in the book. They really only have a few shades. Most of them gray. Black and gray.
Yeah.
And, yeah. There's one yellow one, and I don't want to see that demon. He sounds terrifying.
But at this point, she had already turned away the paranormal investigation team because they weren't helping her with her relationship.
They just kept coming in and knocking paint over.
Yeah, and then the demon shows up right when she needed the investigation team the most.
Yeah. But she had sent them off to Chicago.
Yeah. Well, it was the annual paranormal investigation convention.
Yes.
And Otto and Klutz couldn't miss it.
Paracon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the highlight of their year, so... Yeah,
I can't blame them for going, but especially because she was very rude and sent them away anyways.
She said some really derogatory things about Germans too, which I'm not going to repeat.
Ooh.
But
I don't know what you're thinking, RK. You could leave that stuff out. It really wasn't essential for the book by any means.
No, that was a little questionable, I think. But
so the demon obviously turns on Marissa after she brings it into the house, and Jacques is powerless against it.
Literally, he has no power.
Yeah. Like all his weightlifting is just
for naught.
Yeah.
I mean, he could only lift paint. And all the paint had been knocked over. So
he was just standing there like, je sais pas.
In fact, the Ouija board was still in the middle of the room, and the demon, as a sick, twisted joke, turned it into a no-G board.
I mean, no.
My French isn't great. Non-G board. I apologize to any of our French listeners out there. My French accent is just as abysmal as my German.
Abysmal or fantastic? It depends on your viewpoint.
Abysmal.
Oh, no.
I don't know what that is.
Abysmal is what it was.
We should have been... Yeah, we'll leave it at abysmal.
All right, so we have Jacques, who is unable to lift paint because it's all been spilled by Otto. And we have Grey Elzebub, the greater grey demon.
and here... Then the garage is engulfed in white light, grey light.
Yeah. Everything's grey at this point.
And then down from the skies comes an alien grey to save the day.
Yes. That's what happened.
This love shape just got a whole lot more complicated.
Yeah.
It becomes a love hexagon.
And this is another shade of grey.
This is true.
Like I said, the paranormal stuff and the love stuff, it all just sort of melds together perfectly. Yeah.
A lot of genres in this book. It went from murder, mystery, romance, supernatural to sci-fi, alien investigation as well.
Turns out the alien grey also in love with the paint cans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like how? What's that shape? What's that shape like? Like
it's like
Peeping. I'm trying to get this out. Peeping Tom was in love with Marissa,
who was in love with Jacques,
who's in love with paint, which doesn't love anyone because it's paint. but there is a paint demon now.
Yes.
Who hates everything, and then there's the alien who's in love also with the paint.
Well, no, with the paint sorry, I wasn't clear. With the paint demon.
Right, yeah.
So he comes to save the day by asking the paint demon out?
Yes.
on a date.
Why are you asking? Why are you
It
saying it in a questioning way?
It started as a question, and then I realized, no, I know the answer to this, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
The alien demon proposes the alien proposes that he and the demon go for pizza.
And so they all go out for pizza.
Yes, which I thought was a little bit of a too easy, you know.
Well, they wanted to go for the best pizza they could find, which of course was in Chicago.
Right.
Which
that deep dish.
Unfortunately is where, unfortunately for the alien and the Greyer demon, was where this Paracon was. So all the ghost hunters from the country.
And around the world, too.
All around the world, of course.
Including Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they weren't just ghost hunters, they were paranormal investigators.
Right, that's
so
right.
you got a demon, you got an alien, this is perfect.
Yeah.
For them.
All the experts are there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony is they showed up, the demon and the alien, on their pizza date. And, well, yeah, when you laugh at it, it sounds ridiculous. But everyone from the convention, at first, they were like, wow, those are some spot-on costumes.
Yeah.
Like, nobody even questioned it.
How did he get his legs to bend that way?
Yeah. He's like 14 feet tall. The demon, obviously, not the alien. That would have been ridiculous.
Of course, it would have been ridiculous.
The alien's only 3 feet tall. Very small.
Yes. So they all go for a pizza date in Chicago. Very near the convention, not knowing that the convention is there. Of course, so the restaurant is filled with these investigators, and they're like looking over. At first, like you said, they think it's a costume, but then they're looking over like, that doesn't make any sense. His knees are bending backwards. And how would he unhinge his jaw that far? That's not a costume. And then all of a sudden, 5 different people in the restaurant just stand up and go, Jacques!
And then Jacques is there.
Jacques is like,
no.
Oui, hello.
I didn't expect Jacques to be there, so that was really cool. He just showed up.
Yeah, it turns out he's spectrally tied to the paint cans.
That makes
and of course,
sense.
the alien brought the paint cans because of the demon. It needs the paint to survive.
They were like little shoes, really. The demon had these paint cans on his feet below his knees that bent backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Jacques is there playing with the paint while they're all eating pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with the paint.
And of course, Marissa is tailing them, following these circular grey patterns on the floor, almost like footprints, but paint can prints.
Yeah.
And of course, Tom Peepery or Peeperton?
Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom, that's the easiest.
Peeperton.
Yeah. Is closely following behind to make sure that Marissa is safe, because he knows now there's this giant demon and an alien. Like, things are getting out of hand. And of course, he's still in love with Marissa. But of course, I've said of course like 6 times in the last 30 seconds.
Of course.
Of course. But Peeping Tom is not alone either, because his chicken farm back home, he couldn't just leave his chickens. So he's got a trail of like 25 small chickens just trailing behind him. Just little
Chicks.
ones, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone else saw, and they're like, man, that guy is a chick magnet. Not knowing that they were his chickens.
Yeah. So Tom follows Marissa, who's following the paint can footprints, into the restaurant.
This better be damn good pizza.
Can I just say this has become my favorite book, just period, I've ever read.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that we're looking at this one.
You're welcome.
This episode. So
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
So the chicks follow Tom into the restaurant, and then they start playing in the paint, which is bad. Because it's toxic.
We have 25 tiny little gray chickens.
Trailing paint all over the restaurant. So Jacques is really excited. Because there's all these chicks covered in paint, and that's really his thing.
Jacques is kind of twisted.
Yeah. Well, that's why he died. But I mean, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other series.
Literally a different series, yeah.
So, I mean, he's French, so.
Oh Anyways. So we're in this apparently ginormous Chicago restaurant.
And
that serves
nobody's
pizza.
called the cops yet.
No.
Well, I mean, there has been no illegal activity, so.
Well, Beelzebub ate the table, but they just thought he was eccentric.
Well, it was a round table. He just thought it was a really big pizza.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a real deep dish. The deepest of dishes.
So this is when the paranormal investigators have noticed something is wrong, and well, not wrong, but just that something is
not right.
afoot,
Yeah.
and it's stuck
2
in a paint
feet.
can.
In a paint can. Particularly Otto and Klutz, because they're of course in the restaurant, and they look over and say, "Hang on, I recognize."
I've kicked those paint cans over before.
Recognize that, and then
I've kicked those paint cans over before.
exactly,
Sorry, I
yes,
had to
exactly
make
like
sure
that.
People knew who we were talking about.
And because they're so smart, they figure it all out without having to be told any of it. And they come over and they say, "Well, you are in love with him, but he's a demon, so figure that out." And then the clowns show up. Which
I like that there was. You didn't even think it was clowns at first, plural.
Yeah.
That was a really weird way to make clowns. But it was just that Volkswagen just pulls up in front of the restaurant, and you just see the clown driver, and you're like, okay, the clown's gonna show up. And he opens the door, and 18 clowns pop out.
yeah, and they're all in gray. It's
Yeah.
grayscale, because they're part of the black and white circus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Not much color in this book.
Jacques
other than
is
the
just
yellow paint
so
that they
excited.
briefly mentioned, but
Yeah. Jacques is again just so excited because everything's gray and that's his favorite color of paint. So so the clowns come in and and they start eating people's meatballs. Because this is not just a pizza restaurant, it's an Italian restaurant. There's pizza
course.
and
Of course, yes.
spaghetti meatballs.
Chicago's deep dish pizza and spaghetti joint.
So they
Marv's.
start a food fight with meatballs. As clowns do.
As clowns are known
Yeah.
for, yes.
So finally they call the cops because the clowns are having
that was their
a meatball
breaking
fight.
point.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll take the demons eating our table. We'll even take the guy bringing in a bunch of chickens. But
Covered
you
in
throw a
paint.
couple meatballs around, and that is where I draw the line.
And,
Yeah.
and some of the meatballs actually end up landing in the paint can and becoming gray meatballs, and that just drives Jacques even steamier, you know.
Well, he's able to eat them then because they're covered in paint, and he's learned how to deal with paint in real life. So he eats the meatballs, and he ascends to the next form, which is of course a cat. So Jacques is
a
reborn.
ghost cat.
Jacques is reborn in the restaurant as a cat, an actual cat.
Oh, it's an actual cat.
Yeah.
I
You know,
just
he was a
assumed
physical cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why he started chasing around all the chicks then.
Yeah, so he starts chasing around all the chicks, which is a problem for Peeping Tom.
And then law enforcement show up. That's
yeah.
when the cops actually show.
And they come into quite a scene of chaos. And
Meatballs flying everywhere. Gray
clowns
chickens
throwing
trying
meatballs,
to flap their way
gray
across the
chickens
room.
being chased by a cat that is for somehow speaking French, and there's a demon just chilling in the corner, and an alien sitting in the demon's lap,
All hell is
having its
breaking
hair
loose.
braided. There's
This
just a
is,
lot going on. It took 3 pages for RK just to describe that scene that the cops saw, and then finally we were able to get all through that. And it's like, okay, well, what happens next? You know?
Yeah. So the cops show up, and they just end up being part of out of the chaos. Wow, that was good speaking me. Part of the madness. There's billy clubs being thrown because they don't have guns, but they've got billy clubs and they don't know how to use them because they just lost their guns recently. So just chucking billy clubs across the room.
New law in Chicago.
But then this is where finally there's the breaking point in the argument, or the chaos, the madness, whatever, where the man in the business suit walks in. Just very calm, very collected.
Yeah.
Walks
And
in.
it's a red suit, which was like pow, like color. Like, yeah.
And this is his pizza joint. And
He's Pizza Dave.
Pizza Dave. That's what he's known as. Pizza Dave and the deep dish pizzas. Not where I thought they were going to go with that character, but I like what they did.
Yeah, I thought it would be like Giovanni or like something Italian.
Yeah.
No, Pizza Dave.
Pizza Dave. And he goes, "Hey,
I am a
what's
Pizza
going
Dave.
on in here? This place is a absolute madness." And they go, "Pizza Dave, you don't have an accent. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Hey,
I am
if
trying something new.
I think this will make the sales go up." To any of our Italian fans listening, I apologize for my abysmal Italian accent. That was more of a Chicago accent.
I don't apologize for anything.
It wasn't your abysmal accent. It was Pizza Dave's abysmal
Yeah.
accent.
I mean,
Exactly.
it was in text form, so really.
You're reading it out phonetically. That's just how it
It's true.
sounds.
They did have a lot of A's written in the
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
So everyone, the madness goes completely calm. Everyone just stops what they're doing and they stare at Pizza Dave.
Yeah. Because Pizza Dave, little do they know, has his business suit actually radiates Xanax. So in a cloud. So
Profits were just crazy, and
Yeah.
he decided to spend him
on a Xanax suit.
on a Xanax suit, as one does.
He's calming them literally with drugs. But nobody knows that. But Pizza Dave doesn't realize that there's an alien and a demon in the restaurant, and Xanax isn't going to affect them the same way. So the alien starts biting people's ankles because it's getting raging
From the Xanax.
Xanax.
It was weird
Yeah.
side effects.
Well,
on aliens.
alien physiology is different from human physiology.
Was this when they decided to team up?
Yes.
Yeah. So the clown, the main clown,
Yeah.
Clown Dave.
No, that Clown Dave isn't the main clown.
No, he was there.
It's
though. I just thought it
it's
was funny that there was two Daves, and they just distinguished between them based on their.
Pizza Dave and Clown Dave. Yes.
yeah. It's Squeaky Mo.
Squeaky Mo.
Yeah.
Squeaky Mo. The alien grey, the demon, the ghost. Which paranormal investigator was it?
Klutz.
It was Klutz.
Yeah, and Otto is like, "Uncle, how could you betray me?"
They all team
That was
up
abysmal.
and create a new superhero team to fight the evil Pizza Dave.
Yes.
Who's the,
See, I didn't even think Pizza Dave was that evil, but they all.
Well,
seemed to think he
they
was.
decide that Pizza Dave is an agent for Big Pharma, and so
Exactly.
yeah,
Hence the Xanax. suit.
Yeah.
he had the cops in his back pocket. He had supplied them with
miniature cops in his back pocket.
Just the tiny little cops.
that's not what the book said.
Okay, so it's just everything's paranormal. I just assumed they were literally
It
in his
would not
back
have been
pocket.
that
It was
far off.
it was figurative.
Oh, okay, he was just bribing them. I get it.
Yeah, there you go. He also had like little model toy cops physically in his back pocket. That might
okay.
be what confused you.
Yeah, for voodoo.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, supervillain. He had a whole bunch of stuff. So, like so many genres.
Yeah.
This book is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Yes,
I-
it is.
As I was reading it, I just I kept saying out loud, like, "Oh my god!" Like, I get new things are happening. Like, I would say all of that out loud.
And that's the superhero team name is Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm.
That's their team name.
Yeah. And it's they're inspired by Jacques as a ghost, Shades of Grey.
He's no longer a ghost. Now he's
Yeah.
Now he's cat.
Well, it's in memoriam for Jacques because he's for his past form, he's no longer that ghost. That ghost has passed on into a cat.
As ghosts too.
Yes. Ghosts.
Obviously. Ghosts.
Yes.
Clowns.
So the superhero team spends a little bit more time than I would have liked discussing the design of their costumes.
Over pizza though, which was nice.
Yeah. Because everyone's calmed down now, so they sit down and have some discussion over pizza.
On a table that's got some bites taken out of it.
Yes.
Because Pizza Dave kind of just went into the back room, and so he isn't around to hear them discussing this stuff.
Because he needed to bribe the cops to leave. So
Exactly.
he had to pull them aside and
Exactly.
start handing out money and free pizza. The money is actually baked into the deep dish pizza in a middle layer. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Pizza Dave is a Genius. Criminal mastermind.
So he filled the pizza with dough.
Yes. Exactly. Now you're getting it.
That's a good play on words right there. Very clever.
Yeah. Speaking of clever, I think now would be a clever time to do a quick ad break. So this podcast today is brought to you by Pizza Dough. You can't use it for money.
This podcast is also brought to you by gray paint. Put it on your wall and you will feel bad.
This podcast is also brought to you by Shoe Dave. Come on down to Shoe Dave's and buy some paint can shoes. They're not comfy, but they'll keep your feet dry. But they'll last. Last.
This podcast is also brought to you by Bad Accents. It's easy to do.
They're abysmal.
And
I feel like there's more sponsors that we should touch on.
Yeah, there's a long list here.
Yeah. This podcast is also brought to you by Genres. Why stop at 1? Or 3, for that matter.
And, of course, this podcast is also brought to you by Clownin' Around, Clown Company. They come in the Volkswagen. You never know how many you're going to get.
This podcast is also brought to you by Clown Dave. He's trying to break free from
Squeaky
Mo's clan of clowns and start his own side business. So call up Clown Dave if you want a bouncy castle or some meatballs thrown at you.
And this podcast is brought to you by www.gray.co.gov. And if you support this podcast, you can go to the website www.peep.gray.co.gov/tubcpodcast and enter the promo code peep_tubcpodcast. Exactly as written, peep gray tubc podcast. Don't forget it.
It might say there's too many characters, but just
keep writing.
Yeah, it'll work.
They'll send you a free can of gray paint. So yeah
it's kind of nice.
Check that out. Yeah.
No label on the paint cans. It's just like it looks like a metal can.
It'll be a shade of gray, and you won't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Kinder Surprise, but less edible.
Yeah.
Don't eat paint.
Less edible. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, on that note...
Back to the pizza restaurant where the Shades of Grey, the superhero team, made up of, just to remind you, the alien, Grey Elzebub, Squeaky Mo...
And his clown clan.
And the clowns, except for Clown Dave.
Clown Dave hasn't left yet. He's just trying to start his own business on the side.
Yeah.
So I hear.
And am I forgetting anyone?
The chickens?
Yes.
They don't really do much, but they're there.
Yeah.
They're kind of like
mascot.
Baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's just like a mascot type.
Cute.
Yeah, and they end up saving the day at the end, but we'll get there.
Yeah. We don't want to get too much into that.
At this point, Marissa, who was in love with Jacques, who is now a cat, has just lost all interest and is just like leaving the restaurant.
Yeah, typical cat. Doesn't care.
No, I meant Marissa was leaving the restaurant.
Oh, yeah. But,
and so Peeping Tom follows her.
Yeah.
But all of his chickens stay behind because
they're invested. They're invested in the superhero gang.
They can't just let evil take over the world.
Yeah.
Xanax soup.
Evil Pizza Dave.
Mm-hmm.
They're worried that he's going to bake them into a pizza. So
yeah, fair enough.
Everyone loves chicken pizza.
Yeah, I had chicken pizza for breakfast, to be honest.
Nice.
Chicken fajita pizza, but yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm not even kidding. I ate a whole pizza.
Cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the book. So Pizza Dave's evil scheme gets are we getting into the final chapters? I can't.
Yeah, we're getting close.
once they team up and realize that Pizza Dave has the cops in his back pocket, he's bribing them and they find out his evil scheme, which is to bake a Chicago deep dish pizza, which is literally baking Chicago into a deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
He wanted to do it then and there because the Paracon was going on, and he wanted to take out
Lots
all
of people.
the
Exactly.
people from the Paracon at the same
Yeah,
time.
so they wouldn't be able to beat him.
So he unleashes his giant robot oven on the city.
Steamtron 5000.
That's the name. Which is strange because it was a gas. Which is strange because it was a gas oven.
Yeah.
That's what it was called.
Well, it named itself.
Yeah.
Beep, pop, boop. I am Steam Clean 5000.
Steamtron.
Steamtron 5000 is what it said.
Steam Clean 5000 is in the sequel.
Yeah.
Well, Steam Clean 5000 is when he goes into self-cleaning mode.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, well, he needs to do that before he can bake the pizza. Otherwise, you don't want to bake a giant city into a pizza and have it be dirty.
Oh, dirty, no.
It's ridiculous.
Pizza Dave is way better than that.
That's how you get your sales to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the health inspector on your butt.
Oh, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Better to just bake them into a pizza.
Yeah.
With the rest of Chicago.
Well, at the time, all the health inspectors were at HealthCon in New York, so they were safe from the pizza.
So the reason that
And this is when Pizza Dave really leans into that accent, because that's what his supervillain persona is.
Yeah.
right, but the whole reason that he hated the Paracon and wanted to take it out all at once, as well as the rest of the city, is because Pizza Dave is not really the Pizza Dave that everyone thinks. He's not just some guy in a pharma suit,
Xanax suit.
Just reeking of Xanax.
Because Xanax has a smell.
Well, obviously, I assume. I don't know. Maybe not. They wrote it into the book as it having a smell, so. Anyways.
It said the smell is odorless.
Oh.
You know what odorless means, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's slightly less odorful than odors.
Nope.
Moral of the story.
Anyway.
Pizza Dave is not of this world. He's not an alien, because that would be ridiculous to have two aliens in one book, and he's too tall for that. But he is, in fact, from the underworld.
Yes.
And you're thinking, like, hell, where Grailsabub is from.
It's a mouthful.
But no, he's not actually from that underworld. He's just like
the Underdark.
under Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, he's a crab person.
Grab people, grab people.
Yeah. And that's why he wanted to create that deep dish Chicago pizza. So he'll cut out a deep hole and create a deep dish pizza of Chicago, and then who will be on top? The crab people.
Yeah. And all his family will all be able to eat.
Exactly.
And that's why he wears the red suit, because it's actually his crab armor.
Yeah. People are like, man, Dave, you never change your suit. And in actuality, he sheds it every few days, like an exoskeleton. But he doesn't let them know that. He's like, yes, I like my. No, sorry. He goes, hey, I like my suit. Forgot he had an accent for a second.
Yeah, you did there. So we find out that Pizza Dave is a crab person, because his babies come out from the kitchen, and everyone's like, "Ooh, fresh crab!" And they start trying to catch the babies to eat them alive.
This was before the Steamtron got unleashed on the city.
Yes,
though.
yeah, that's why he unleashes Steamtron. He's like, he sees everyone trying to kill his babies, and he was like, plan. Sorry, you do the accent better, Steve. Do you want to say what he says?
Oh yeah, he says, "Hey, it's time to initiate Plan B."
Yes, exactly. And then he dials up Steamtron 5000 on his little evil genius phone with all the buttons on it.
Larger than a microphone.
Yes, and activates Steamtron 5000. Who then
Steamtron 5000 was just like hanging out across the lake.
Yeah. Waiting.
Chicago's on a lake, right?
You sure? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the book says it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the
Maybe
book
it's
it
not
is.
Chicago, Illinois.
Alternate Earth.
I should know this.
Anyway.
I do have a degree in geography.
It shows.
I should really stop announcing things that make me look bad.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, Steamtron is hanging out and just watching TV as giant robots
He's
do.
watching a rerun of Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Joey, though. He was thinking about watching Joey, but it wasn't as good.
Nobody likes spin-offs.
Which is a weird commentary on the book itself. I
That
think
they referenced Friends.
No, because the character of Steamtron doesn't like Joey, but weirdly enough, this book is like Joey in that it's a spin-off of the previous mystery thing. So,
But it did a lot better than the previous mystery ones.
exactly. So it's
Which is, I mean, doesn't say much because this book, like I said, didn't do very well at all. So the previous mysteries novels were almost unread.
this is
very
true.
few
This
sales.
This is 100% true.
I'm hoping, actually, because this book is so good, that this podcast gives this book a bump in sales because we're getting the word out. We're telling people how good it is. you know?
Hopefully they'll make a movie that'll rival the current superhero
would
trend.
Yeah.
Love to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Right?
Of course, it would be in black and white until they get to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for that one yellow can of paint earlier.
Yeah.
But they could probably cut that out for the movie. It really wasn't essential.
Yeah. You're going to kind of edit. I mean, you got to edit some stuff out for the movie. And
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
because I mean, books are generally too long for
Yeah.
movie length.
yeah. So Steamtron
Yes.
turns off Friends and gets up from
he
his...
finised the episode.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
only got 5 minutes left. You can't just stop it.
Absolutely.
you know?
He's like, he just, was he texting or was he calling with Pizza Dave?
He just pressed the Pizza Dave Go button on his evil device, and it sent a signal to Steamtron.
It was just like the bat signal up in the sky, but with just like a crab holding a slice of pizza over his head with both claws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone else in the city was like, what the hell is that? But, of course,
Steamtron
knew.
Yeah.
He was the one that cast the signal being like, yeah, I'll come make your pizza.
Yeah.
But,
Give me 5
Pizza
minutes.
Dave saw it, yeah.
I gotta finish this episode of Friends.
Well, I mean, he didn't say give me 5 minutes. There was sort of an implicit agreement between Steamtron and Pizza Dave that he'd get the pizza done in about 30 minutes or less.
Or the city goes free. And he threw in an order of breadsticks too for the 5-minute wait.
that was very generous of him, really,
Yeah.
considering he was about to
Destroy
decimate a
an
population.
entire city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
But, crabs love their breadsticks, so.
They like to cut them in half with their little pincers.
Yeah, I like that you're actually doing the little pincer thing, even though it's I've been doing physical gestures the entire time with the
Yeah.
crab. I'm doing it again right now. Like the little crab light in the sky with the pizza.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Especially because you're not wearing a shirt, so. Little known fact, Steve records every podcast topless.
Apparently.
Well, I mean, I recorded bottomless, so there you go.
Well, yeah, I can't see you under the table though. That's a bonus. It's because you find your best comedy comes when your nipples can breathe, right?
That is what I apparently said, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
Steamtron.
Super essential that our listeners know that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's
we're
nice
gonna
that
have
they
the
know
whole
a little bit about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steamtron goes and assaults this. Well, he was told not to put any salt on it, but he did it anyway.
Yeah.
He assaults the city.
Yes. And then he peppers it.
He also peppers it.
And then he, Parmesan's it.
And so the people are screaming. It's a terrible event, and then the Shades of Grey say their catchphrase.
Let's do it.
Let's save the gray.
Let's save the Grey. That's what they say.
That's a lot better than what I remembered.
And they get into action and try to fight Steamtron.
Yeah. And then they quickly realize that the only members of their group that have any chance of doing anything against a giant city-sized oven robot are the alien and Beelzebub, of course, having demon powers.
Or so you would think.
The rest of them are brainstorming like, well, I'm a baby chicken, so what am I gonna do? You know, so
He's like, I'm just gonna enjoy this pizza. You guys got this, right?
yeah,
And they did.
yeah.
They had it under
They
control.
ate a whole pizza.
Yeah, they ate the pizza.
And, yeah, that's pretty much the last time we hear about the chickens in the book, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
That's the last we hear from them, but we see them again.
Oh, this is true, yeah. So at this point, the alien and Beelzebub go out, and the giant pizza oven with its, what does it look like again? It's got legs or wheels?
It's got wheels, legs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
kinda
like skates, basically.
Well, have you seen Return to Oz?
Yeah.
It's the Wheelers, essentially. It's an oven that's like the Wheelers.
Okay. I haven't seen that in a while, but I think I know what
The
you're talking
really creepy long arms with the wheels on the end.
Yeah, he's got wheels on his arms and wheels on his feet, and he just goes all down on all fours and sort of
Wheels
skates
are,
around.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And laughs a lot.
Yeah, well, he's like decimating buildings as he rolls and laughs.
Yeah.
And
Creepy laugh.
so the alien and the demon team up, and the rest of the Shades of Grey can't do much.
They're
They
just
cheer
cheering
him
him
on.
on. Yeah.
Woo,
They're
you
there
guys got
for
this.
moral support.
Yeah.
Moral support is support still, so, you know, they do count as members of the team, even though they do nothing.
Yeah. Well, they're wearing a uniform,
Exactly.
which they designed out of tablecloths at Pete's
Painted them
Dave's.
gray.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So, Beelzebub's got his paint can shoes on and clip-clopping over to one of the wheels,
Yeah.
and he kicks it.
With his paint can feet
Yeah.
and
Just once.
deals it a mighty blow.
Yeah. And the robot Steamtron did not like that. So he turns and growls and goes, "Hey, don't do that."
That wasn't very nice.
Yeah. And they said, "Dude, you're destroying the city." Of course, the alien didn't say that because he doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
He speaks German.
Yes. Which is very important. That's why I said earlier, Marissa learning German, it comes into play. So Marissa has to join the Shades of Grey as a translator.
Interpreter, yeah.
So she translates for the alien.
Well, I mean,
and for the for Klotz as well, because you remember
Right.
Klotz
Yeah. He
also
doesn't
speaks German, and he is in the Shades of Grey.
Yes.
there was many more uses for her becoming trilingual than I previously expected.
Yeah. I just thought it was like a gag at the beginning, like, haha, she learned the wrong language.
Yeah.
You know, yuck, yuck.
Well, at this point, she was already on her way back home, right? She left Chicago because Jacques was now a cat.
Yeah.
And she looks in her mirror as she's driving away, and there's a little thing that says "Objects in mirror closer than they appear." And there was a giant robot in it, and she said, "Well, shit, I should probably go and check this out."
Yeah.
And
See
she,
how close it is.
Well, she wanted to get a selfie with it, really.
Yeah.
But of course, Peeping Tom's right behind her, so he turns around as well, and they both drive back to Chicago, see if they can help.
Yeah. And she does help.
Yeah.
She's crucial. She translates to the alien that the robot is obsessed with good manners, because he said it was not very nice to have kicked him.
Yes.
And so the alien just starts being really rude in German. And then Marissa's translating like, "Oh, he just called you a really bad name," or, you know, like telling the Steamtron, and Steamtron just starts crying.
Yeah. Those tears were boiling oil, which started like melting buildings as they fell.
Yeah.
Steamtron is very large, and if you haven't got this from our gestures, I know it sounded like he was just sitting on the couch, but it was a very large couch as well.
And then this of course is destroying the city. The oil, you know, flowing down from his steamy face, and at this point, Peeping Tom comes in. Really nice guy. He has these chicks. He's like, "You know what always makes me feel better? Holding a chick in my hands and caring for it and looking at its cute little face." So Peeping Tom gives Steamtron a chick. And then that brightens up his day, and he
immediately falls in love.
yeah, and he
Platonic love.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He wants to care for this thing. and he just doesn't feel that, you know, the fast food industry is for him anymore. He wants to raise chickens instead.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
heartwarming story.
Very heartwarming.
And that's the message of true love that this story is trying to tell.
It was trying to tell a few things the whole time, it sounded like. But I'm glad that they came to that conclusion about love and stuff.
And not destroying cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was real touching.
And then the epilogue, then the epilogue chapter after that is just back on a farm with Steamtron looking down on his work, saying that he did a good job, and then he gets a letter in the mail with a picture of a crab holding a pizza. And it says on it, "I'd like an order of 25 million chicken pizzas, stat." And then it just ends. It's just like the cliffhanger stinger right at the end.
Mm-hmm. I read that page and I was like, oh, like, can't wait for the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah.
This book just had me adrenaline the whole time. It was so great. Exciting. Yeah.
There was so much romance going on. By the end, it was like a love dodecahedron.
Yeah.
Dodecahedron? That's a thing?
20 sides.
Yeah. There was at least 20. I mean, we had like 14 or 18 clowns. 11,
yeah, exactly. And all the clowns were...
Oh, yeah. They actually did describe exactly which clown loved which clown and the unrequited loves within the clown community. It wasn't really important to the story.
It was a very ancestral Volkswagen, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, thank you all for listening to the Totally Unreal Book Club podcast, our weekly review podcast in association with the Voices of Anarchy, of which everyone here is also a member. You can check us out at www.voicesofanarchy.com or on Twitter at voicesanarchy. You can find the podcast on podcast services around the globe, and you can support the podcast on patreon.com/tubcpodcast, on Twitter and Instagram at tubcpodcast, and you can literally just find us everywhere at tubcpodcast. I want to thank once again the panel this week, and you can follow each of us on our personal Twitters at
handfofficial.
Steve Marriott.
I'm caitlionroar. Thank you all once again, and we'll see you next week.
Get yourself some paint can shoes.